The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on.
He missed the complete. It's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He sliced through. He tags Richard Eck.
is where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski dives on the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around Mills at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner of Willie ride curb. Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass a little. A 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Party time is in full swing, and for a circuit that was brand new for the induction of these vehicles in the late 70s, we head to the South Americas as Interlagos in Sao Paulo, Brazil will be our stage for round 6 of the CTC Lotus 79 official series racing today. Of course, we are streaming live here on iRacing Live and brought to you by the Global Sim Racing channel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The halfway stage is upon us here, and there is no Journo Frisch in sight. That's the main talking point coming into the racing today. It's hashtag Do You Mind Jake Sperry here in the commentary booth, joined as ever by Crackers Sean Ambrose. Directing the drama on wheels is Joe Peak, whilst the cameras will be provided by the in-house Scorsese in the form of Dougie Beard. Motorsport last time out was the bread and butter dynamic for what is the formula and the vehicle, but it was one which caused problems throughout the field. Nuno Moreira's non-finish really caused an opening in the championship because it would be back-to-back victories in the end for Journo Frisch before he takes his 2-week sabbatical. Interlagos, Sean, is a circuit which everybody loves and adores. 2 fast sectors in sectors 3 and sectors 1, but that middle section will prove very tight and twisty. How will Interlagos prove a challenge for the drivers today?
Well, Jake, Interlagos is among the most celebrated of all Formula One circuits. Known for its serpentine layout and dramatic elevation changes, the circuit has been the home of the Brazilian Grand Prix since '73. Now listen, this track, it's a lot of fun. Okay, let's get started with that. But the challenge you see right in the middle of the circuit there, you get from turn 6 through turn 11 is just a mess. All the way to turn 12, Junsal, you make the trip up the hill back to the main straightaway across the start-finish line. That middle of the circuit's going to really slow these L79s down today. The Lotus, turning not one of its best characteristics, and you're really going to need to turn the car tightly in there. Several good overtaking opportunities here in the Senna S and in Dolago, which is turn 4. But Jake, the best way to look at this track is from the driver's seat of the GSRC Lotus 79.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Interlagos. Coming up to turn 1, this is going to be a very popular passing spot, but the switchback can make it tricky to execute. Drivers will be defending hard from either side, so keep your head on a swivel. As you swing through Curva de Sol, straighten it out as much as you can to keep your speed up. You'll want all the momentum you can get for the decently long backstretch in order to help you defend or attack. Now you're onto the Reta Oposta, which leads into the Descida de Lago. This is another place where overtakes are likely, but as you brake for turn 4, remember the car will want to understeer on the exit, so keep that in mind when going side by side. We continue downhill and drift back across the track. Then you'll chuck it into the frighteningly fast Ferradura. There's 2 apexes and a nice little rise towards the end that will make spotting the track limits rather tricky. Before you know it, you've entered the technical back section of the circuit. Turn 8 starts off what will be a series of switchback hairpins leading you back and forth. Patience and the proper line will be critical through here, or else you'll lose gobs of time. The Ducks Mill is definitely the slowest of these 3 bends and easily the trickiest for braking. Make sure to bring the car back across to give yourself a nice wide line through Mugello. Then take the car all the way out to the edge and line yourself up for Juncao. This is by far the most important corner of the track. The launch you get off here will affect your lap time on this lap and the next one. You won't be lifting or braking all the way until the Senna S. Because this stretch is so long, expect drafting to play a part in the battles here. Hug the inside all the way up the hill, and if you kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Interlagos.
And there you can see a beautiful lap around this Interlagos Circuit 1, which has a lot of undulation and level changes, something that really does get a driver geared up for a race like this. Of course, for those of you who are brand new to this series, race details then up on the screen. This is the halfway stage race, round 6 of 12. After that halfway stage, we'll start looking at drop weeks and how they get to factor in terms of the racing. The car, of course, a beautiful Lotus 79, one that has caused so much drama and brilliant racing action all season long. Setups are open. There isn't going to be an opportunity here for you to maybe have the same sort of level playing field. It's about how much you work with your brain as a mechanic, just as much as how well you drive on the track. Race distance then here this afternoon is a full 30 laps here. No pit stops then are going to be required, so 30 laps straight up. Local yellows only here, Sean, so it's going to be a case of get around that incident.
It is a 30-lap sprint indeed. Now, an incident cap, you do have to watch out for that. This circuit, very tricky, a lot of runoff spaces. You don't have to worry about damaging the car so much as getting off the track, but when you do get off the track, you're going to rack up incident points, and 17 is the limit. We could maybe see a driver or two DQ from this event today. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Fast repairs, forget about it. You don't need them. Like I said, there's plenty of spots to run off here and get out of trouble, but contact with your fellow driver or finding one of these walls, possibly coming out of the final turn and up to the straight. Very tricky to navigate through there. Maybe you see 3 and 4 wide. You don't want to crack up the car today. Is the iRacing official points. Now the weather, it's going to be, I personally think the weather is going to be a little bit of a factor today, especially when finding grip comes into play here. It's 109 degrees Fahrenheit on track, Jake. Clear conditions, 82 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Again, I think that's going to produce some great racing, but I think the car is going to be a little free in some of these turns.
Yeah, the heat wave will certainly start causing a few issues around the circuit. Qualifying currently underway then as things stand here. It's worth looking at the championship driver standings here for the Formula 1 category, see where everyone stands. Of course, Jarno Fries's gone back-to-back in his victories and now holds about 150 points of an advantage here. But his absence is going to allow his rivals to close up here, Sean. How will the absence affect, firstly, the drivers trying to get back into the championship picture, and secondly, Jarno when he does return?
Okay, so if you're the drivers chasing Jarno, okay, you have to guard against being too overzealous, making a mistake and forgetting about the ultimate goal, and that's finishing these races near the top. So you don't want to be over eager and get out there and make a move that's going to really cost you for the sake of trying to catch Jarno. Get out there, run your race, get the very, very best result possible. If that's a win, great. If it's in the top 3, great. But again, don't push too hard. Don't sacrifice the entire season for the sake of catching Jarno. He's pretty close. I think it's actually doable. Now, Jarno, when he comes back, that's another story. He's going to have to be in defend mode, obviously, when he makes it back.
Yeah, he certainly is here, and well, it's worth looking at the CTC Aurora's team standings as well. Remember, it's on average points and not on a series of cumulative points, shall we say here. And we're seeing Ruicolo's points tally now just starting to drop down more and more. Andrea Ventura climbing up, Nathan Franklin climbing up as well. Ruicolo's starting to slip here a little bit, Sean, but, I'm really surprised that he doesn't have a full-time team yet, especially as he could have been second overall in that main championship, such has been his consistency.
Well, Jake, there's going to be an opportunity. Now, we're at the halfway point of the season after this race. They do have mid-season promotion. Now, if they're any of the Constructors' Championship team drivers, that's the John Player Lotus through the Melchester Racing teams, retired during the season, or fail to participate in more than 2 weeks in a row without leaving any notice to the organizers, then their seat will be offered to the best matching driver from the independent teams by the average points scored in a week. So, certainly I think the opportunity is there to get a seat. There very well may be some openings here at the halfway point.
They certainly will here, and it's also worth looking at this Constructors' Championship. It's about having the two best drivers in your team, and Ligier's lead, which is Nuno Moreira's team, is now cut down to just 4 points. But Ferrari there in second have a big issue. That big issue is they have no Journo Friese for this race. They're relying heavily on Robert Wessner here, who's not in this race, but I believe will be trying to score in some other different form. Do you think that Scuderia Ferrari is going to plummet in terms of this championship without Journo Friese with them here?
I think because they're not getting any help right now from the second driver, I think ultimately Ferrari is in trouble and may be off this leaderboard by the end of the day. Look how tight this battle is. I don't know if Rabach and McLaren can actually catch him today, but maybe next week. So Journo definitely going to have to get back behind the wheel as soon as he can.
Yeah, he certainly will here. Of course, we're still underneath qualifying right now. 2 minutes left then in the session. Juha Noralampi out of Junsao gets a big wiggle, and that lap time won't count. Won't be able to go any quicker right now. Sami Välimäki then will try and get himself a better lap as things stand. Currently down in P18 on a 127 flat, now heading through this very, very, very quick section here, flat out at 250 kilometers an hour, driving for the line. Needs better than 27 flat. 27.1, that's not good enough, Sean.
Well, Juha Noralampi was your winner here just a little while ago in the official race leading up to this one. And pole position was key in that race because he held it. He kept Nuno Moreira off his tail, won that race by about 6 seconds over Nuno. And so from the pole now, I do like what Ruocola's doing so far, and that is a really, really hot lap with a 125.1 around this circuit. That is flying in this Lotus. I wasn't even close to that, Jake.
No, I wouldn't get close either, and everyone has done a lap. Kai Ruocola is classed as being on his second lap, but he has already abandoned that lap, so he will not go any quicker. Doesn't need to here, so it is worth running down the grid now, seeing how things look right now. And we were talking about Ruocola, how he could have been second in the championship. It's pole position on a 125.190. Juha Noralampi then qualifying in second here, Sean.
Okay, and then we go to row 2. It's going to be Nuno Moreira and Michel Vandenberg.
Andrea Ventura, who's had a flair a little bit, shall we say, for finding the grass just ever so slightly during races. He's there in position number 5. Great qualifying from him. In fact, even time with Vandenberg. So it seems that they've been split by the numbers that we cannot see. Victor Rodriguez lines up in 6th.
Row 4, going to go to Antti Lepisto. Had a really good run in the last race. I think he finished 6th, actually. Jared Hoffer going to start there in 8th, rounding out row 4.
Row 5, you can see Nicola Kochi there with AJ Bear rounding out 10 drivers.
Okay, now we'll drop to row 6. That's going to be Stian Svensson in 11th, and John Stevens going to qualify there in 12th today.
Philip Lake will start in P13. It will be Joachim Bodeker there in 14th position.
All right, and row 8 is going to be Daniel Berenson and QC Clapp.
Richard Borchers will round out 17th with Sami Välimäki there in 18th position.
All right, row 10, Mark Mucky and Daniel Benker.
Pablo Lumbrera Suarez then will start P21. Double deuce then for Martin Lega.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Row 12, Steve Sarles, Timothy Dalton in 24th.
There you can see Robert Simpkins 25th with Nick Kamensky.
All right, Matthew Molnar, Renato Horvath.
There you can see row 15, Hideki Koivisto and Jamie Hall.
All right, Russell Palmer, James Stinson, row 16, row 17, Antonio Quintana and Francois Gagne.
And there is 34 drivers then up on your grid right now. 2 minutes to get yourself up onto that grid. Otherwise, you start from the fabled place known as pit road. Sometimes can be a blessing, sometimes can be a curse in terms of track position. You can hear engine notes just getting very, very twitchy. And it's worth noting here that as things stand, Noralampi, the first of your front runners, really to get themselves on the front. You can see a very empty front of the grid here. as they actually don't start on the Grand Prix start-finish line. They actually start behind the finish line here, which we'd normally see in Formula 1 as about position number 6, 7 that you normally see. It's on an incline as well, so that is going to be something that is to keep in mind in terms of the start. Starting up the hill means you're going to be a little bit slower than cars that have to start on the downhill section here. 10 seconds then before this race will get itself officially classed as underway here, and it will be all about that run into that very difficult Senna S here. Engine notes rise, the halfway stage. Underway, green flag flies in the air, and a stunning start from Nora Lampe, who completely gets Ruocola off the line. Ruocola had absolutely nothing in towards turn number 1. Moreira will hold station in position number 3 as they look to try and dive it too wide then in the middle of your pack. Is everybody clean though through the opening section for the time being? The answer is going to be a predominant yes then. They are all safe then through the opening stages. Ventura and Rodriguez going side by side then as they head towards the Interlagos for the very first time. Will that move happen? Answer is going to be no.
Yeah, had a big accident to start at the back. It was the number 10 car. Trying to see who that is here real quick, but that QC Clap gets involved in that. Coming off of the Senna S complex. Big wreck.
Big wreck. That's the 10 of Daniel Berenson. Been seeing him all over sim racing, but that is not where he wants to be. That incident has caused himself a few troubles then in the opening going, but in the opening lap though, it is Nora Lampe then who holds the advantage. Ruocola second, Moreira third, then it's Vandenberg, Lapisto, Rodriguez, Ventura and Hofra. Anti-Lapisto's had a fantastic start. He's already up +2 here, and you can see Nuno Moreira tucked right in underneath here, the driver of Kaya Ruocola. 1 lap pace was brilliant, but the race pace may be starting to struggle here, trying to get those tyres up to temperature. Maybe a little bit more difficulty here. As you can see, Moreira tucked right underneath. You can see an instant move to the right there. No help from Nora Lampe. To the outside drives Nuno Moreira into the Senna S. We'll have to do it the long way round. We'll get the inside line for turn number 2, but outside for turn number 3. They get close, they touch, and over goes Kaya Ruocola. Heavy contact with the barrier there, Sean.
I'm afraid that's the end of Ruocola's day. Up on the lid, we'll have to tow in. Everybody gets by. Ruocola sitting upside down there just outside the curb. Wow. Gonna watch this on board with Ruocola. Gonna see just how violent this was.
And this is very much reminiscent of Peter Berryman's accident here in the first round of the iRacing.com Grand Prix World Championship Series. You can see it was a little bit of a squeeze from Ruocola down in towards turn number 2. They get together in. I'm not sure how much room Nuno Moreira could really use there. He was all over the curb through the mid part of the corner, and well, the incident did occur, and that will be one for you guys to decide at home who was at blame for that. Richard Borges right now, I mean, focusing on him here in what is the number 14 machine. He has managed to just get his way through Stian Svensson, who's now got John Stevens behind. This is crucial for the constructors as he tries to dive one down the inside at the Bico de Pato, Sean.
Nora Lampe has just got to love what's happening behind him. This is exactly how the last race unfolded for him. Up there up front, already up 2 seconds, Jake, on Nuno Moreira, and just flying here to start this race.
But of course, Nuno Moreira wants as many points as possible. He has a championship to think of here. Journo Frisch not here, so he now needs to score as many points as he can. It's pretty much the Hunt Lauda philosophy that they have to play in this situation. When Niki Lauda was away with his injuries in 1976, James Hunt had to step up and score victories, and by that he did and got himself back into the championship after an abysmal start. The same has to be said for Nuno Moreira here as we're looking at battles further down the field. Look at this then, the driver in the 11 of Martin Muckie here in this battle with Sami Valimaki here. You can see this train 6, 7, 8, all their stuck line of sun, and Jamie Hall will be trying to get through all of these drivers. He's already +9 here for the day so far, Sean.
Jake, I'm just shocked at how they've spread out so far already. Just a few laps into this race, and we've got cars spread all the way back over half the circuit already, it seems like.
But of course, this is a surprisingly shorter circuit than maybe it gives credit for. It's only 4.3 kilometers, 15 turns around here. It's the reason why you see 70 plus laps in Formula One racing to get it over that 305 kilometer safety distance. So that is something to keep in mind. As you see, I believe that is the driver Martin Lega running quite right as Pablo Lambrera Suarez now trying to make a move here down on the inside through the Mugello and now into Junsao here, and not going to be able to make that move for the moment. But the slipstream train is going to be the key here. Trying to get that move, trying to make it happen is going to be difficult. It requires a fantastic run around here, Sean, to really make something happen.
Well, Leger has just finally got a little bit of separation. He's trying to work on this pack in front of him, but you see they're catching him quick. Here comes Pablo and Daniel Banker right on his tail, heading down into turn one. Banker has to check up right in front of Jamie Hall. Ooh, that was exciting for Hall. That was a moment.
A moment here as we're looking at AJ Bear in the number 8, and he is in the wall there, and we'll get just a look at that one then. So he's heading himself then out of the center S, coming out of the curve at the Sol, and we'll just see what's happened with him here, because he just clips the curve, and that's a very, very, very unfortunate incident there. There's not much you can do in that situation. He slammed the brakes, but there was no way he was going to survive after that Armco.
Jake, that was very much like the incident that happened on the opening lap. Just loses it a little bit off that curb off to the right, and it brings the car all the way back across the track. Unfortunate early day for him.
And the thing about these curbs is you take them for granted around here because they are so flat, because they are inviting here, Sean, to really be aggressive with an attack. You get it ever so slightly wrong, say you catch the tyre the way that AJ Bear did, you run into a lot of issues in terms of the battling going on. I'm looking at this one between Philip Lake here and the driver of Richard Borchers. Borchers is flying right now and will try and get one down the inside. He's not close enough to make that move, so we'll maybe just have to sit and wait in tow and hope that some move can become a possibility here. Not going to happen into turn number 1. He is incredibly held up though by the wide line taken by Lake.
See a lot of cars spinning off here around the track, having trouble navigating right now. It is again, grip has been hard to find, Jake, and they've been single spin incidents. Unfortunately, not collected too many cars.
Ooh. Sorry, I've just seen Andrea Ventura here, Sean, have exactly the same issue as AJ Bear and get away with it by losing just 2 positions there. Too aggressive out of turn number 3, loses 2 positions, as we saw side by side with Borchers going through on Lake. Oh, and they touch!
Yeah, they do, and Lake is off. Lake gathers it back up. Wow, what a move by Lake. Great car craft there.
That was late from Philip Lake there. He tried to make the late move. In the end, it didn't work out for him. They had contact. Watch that front left, though. The front right, even, shall we say. Because that could be the key in terms of, you know, where he stands in the racing that's going on. Because that was a very, very daring contact. And actually, the front wing is bent up slightly. That will not be helping the vehicle.
No, sir, not at all. You need all the downforce you can get here today with these tight turns, the undulation, the speed. Car really needs to be running at 100%. Any less than that is really going to hurt you today.
It certainly is, and well, there are a few surprises in this field. Michiel Vandenberg up in position number 3. He's having a stunning run in terms of the racing. He probably loves the circuit and what it does for him, holding off drivers like Antti Lepisto and Victor Rodriguez. And Victor Rodriguez was a driver at Road America, Sean, who really did light up a fire, and we know that he has that result in him to really get some really nice results. The problem he has is he's a little bit inconsistent.
Well, it's all about consistency, Jake. If you don't have it, then you're not going to fight for a championship. I'll tell you what, though, the fight I'm watching right now is 13th on back. It's being led by Mark Muckey, the Pennsylvania driver. But just behind him, you've got Joaquin Boddicker, Sammy Valimaki, Pablo Lambrera Suarez, and Jamie Hall and Daniel Banker going at it just now. They were side by side. Hall gets away from that, but these cars have been hooked up since the start, and positions changing by the lap.
They certainly are here, and Jamie Hall's making a few errors there. He ran wide there through Ferradura and now hits the brakes very early, maybe serving a slowdown of sorts then, and lets through Daniel Banker, so now will not have the run here compared to Martin Lega here. Lega needs to get into the toe and use it to his advantage. You can see he's not doing that just yet. He doesn't want to make that move happen down into turn number 1. He'll want to wait for a better opportunity, maybe down to turn number 4 where it can be more decisive here, Sean.
And just as I got on that battle, just up in front of them, Boddicker contact with Suarez as they came through the Senna S there, and I think that hurt. I think that hurt the car there of Boddicker. He is off the track, Jake.
Yeah, he is here, and that's a horrible little contact there because he was going down the inside, and the gap was there when he tried to make that move. The problem that he had was that even though he is going for that gap closed as quickly as it opened, and contact was made there from a driver of Pablo Lumbrera Suarez, just trying to take the line, getting that undercut there on the driver that was just in front of him. So a very, shall we say, clumsy incident there between the two drivers, and there may be a few words between the pair of them after the racing there. I call that one a 50-50, Sean.
I'm going to go with you on that. A 50-50 sounds good. Valimaki right now trying to defend here. It's tough. Suarez is really hounding him. Valimaki with a better run through the turn here as they head through Junsao. Suarez probably a little bit too far to get into the toe here. If he can get a good run up the hill, I don't think he's going to be able to get him here on the straight. A little bit too much distance there. Going to have to wait another lap and try and set him up next time.
Yeah, he certainly is. Let's keep an eye, though, on this battle for the final spot on the podium. Antti Lepisto then trying to make the charge against Michel Vandenberg here. Left-hand corner of the Interlagos, turn 4 and turn number 5. Up the hill, looking now towards turn number 6 here, Ferradura, and then Laranjna. I'll try and butcher as many names as I possibly can, I promise. So you look at Antti Lepisto now, trying to get into that slipstream, trying to use the draft to his advantage. It was half a second the last time he came across the line, but this is the problem. You can't get right up behind someone around this circuit because you look at where you try and make the slipstream effect. There's aerodynamic effect. Although this was the infant stages of it, it's not going to be the same as the McLaren MP430, shall we say, Sean, but it's still going to be enough, which causes dirty air and overtakes to become more difficult.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lepisto, like I said, when we were doing the grid, he had a great run in the last race, and he's going for a little bit more this time. He's got Vandenberg in his sights here, and he's getting a nice toe here. This could be the move, Jake. He's coming around.
Could be the move. He's looking, has to go to the outside. There was no room down on the inside. The preferred way to make it happen. Around the outside, then at the center S, and he's going to get that one sorted. Not yet. Inside line then for turn number 2, and it has to be given up then from the driver of Michel Vandenberg. Now watch Victor Rodriguez. He could try and take that position away, but the slipstream effect will come into play once again. It's going to mean that there's going to be no opportunity to close down that gap. He'll have to stay in position number 5 for the moment, but Vandenberg relinquishes the podium, but it's not over and done with here because he is tucked right in underneath then on the run to Ferradura, Sean.
Yeah, and he's going to give Lepisto a bit of his own medicine here. He's going to just hound him, stay right up there on the gearbox, but watch out for Rodriguez. He's looking for an opportunity to slip in here underneath both of them and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Watch out, Rodriguez right up there on the bumper of Vandenberg, and or I should say the wing, the bumper. I'm still in that modified race from last night. This is a great battle, though, as they head through Pico de Pato and set up to head over to Junsao, and then it's back. Then we get back to some drafting.
Yeah, you do here, and when you get that run off of Junsao, it's just so understated how much of a hill this actually is. You climb it and you'll get out of breath trying to get to the top of it, I've seen, and that's even talking about professional racing drivers struggling to just climb up it. You can see Rodriguez tucked in right underneath and trying to make everything happen. We saw what happened with Joaquin Bodica earlier on, but we'll talk about that in just a moment here because Rodriguez trying around the outside to make it happen, trying to get the undercut there, get the run through the mid part of the corner, gets to the inside and takes the position, but he can't get it sorted here because now you can see on the inside for turn number 3 is Michel Vandenberg inside for turn number 4 now, but doesn't have to run out of the corner. Couldn't get the power down early enough. Rodriguez trying around the outside to make it work at the skid of Interlagos, and still they're going to remain side by side. Little bit of a wiggle, and Vandenberg surely now will hold on to it. What a fantastic move, as he now still can't quite close the door.
He can't shake him at all. No, Rodriguez is maybe a little irked right now. He's trying hard, but it's not there. And give it to Vandenberg, finally able to get by and is now holding station there in front of him. But boy, that battle is not over at all, Jake.
No, it certainly isn't. And of course, we were talking about what happened to Joaquin Bodica earlier on. We caught that one in terms of he was going into turn number 1. A little bit of contact there on the front right. Maybe hurt the suspension, and now is running a few laps down, almost a lap. Yeah, he is a lap down, shall we say. So not the day that he would want in terms of the racing right now. You talk about big casualties. The big casualty was that number 1 machine, Akaya Ruakola, out in the second lap of this event here, Sean. And for the Aurora Championship, that's a devastating blow for him.
That really is. Really devastating blow for Ruakola. I got so used to seeing him race week in, week out, and being up there near the top. It's kind of strange not seeing him in the field right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. The same can be said for Jono Frisch, who isn't here this afternoon. Look at the gap, though, here between your race leaders. That has been whittled away over the last few laps. Here on lap 11 of 30, already 1/3 distance through your event. And you can see here, it's the driver Nuno Moreira now, who is really closing in that gap, trying to put some pressure here on Juho Noralampi. And Noralampi getting all over the curb and a little bit more through the mid part of that corner. He's got to be a little bit more careful about how he attacks that curb, because if he's deemed to have all 4 wheels off the circuit, a slowdown penalty won't be too far away from the iRacing service.
Jake, Lepisto just got around that we were talking about Boddicker. Boddicker now back on track, getting passed by our leaders as they go by. Rodriguez just got by, so did Vandenberg there, and Jared Hoffer get around, but Boddicker out there still turning laps, letting everybody by in the process. That battle, though, between Vandenberg, Rodriguez losing a little bit to the battle right now, and not enough to catch him in the toe as they come up the front straight.
Not enough just yet, and that is going to be affecting him in terms of his racing, because he wanted to get past Vandenberg as quickly as he can, and maybe his best chance has already passed him by. That gap opens up to about half a second. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's just holding back here, Sean, to have another major go at Michel Vandenberg later on. You sort of wait and pick your moment here. Maybe try and keep the tyres cooler to really launch it. And again, you can see no help there from Michel Vandenberg. He's moving to the left-hand side of the circuit there to break the draft, to make sure that there is no help at all for the driver of Victor Rodriguez as he heads in towards the skid of Interlagos.
I like this battle up front, Jake, for the lead. Nuno has really closed it down in just under a second now. And that last lap, he was about a quarter of a second faster. So Nuno definitely got the pace right now. Seems to be in Juha's head.
Yeah, he does here. And, well, he's closed that gap down lap after lap after lap. And, in fact, Nuno Moreira holds the fast lap of the race on a 1:25.770. That's quicker than the 1:25.8. That Juho Noralampi had. So if Noralampi was thinking he was going to get away and win this one out on his own, this is going to be a different story here. He's got to do this one the hard way and hold off the hard charging Nuno Moreira here. Started third, up into second position. Noralampi started second, up into first. But on that last time by, Moreira wasn't as quick though. Noralampi held on there with a 1:26 flat. The gap remained 1 second at the front of the field, and now it's a waiting game here. How long can you go before you start making mistakes here? It's about a battle of who makes the least mistakes here, Sean.
Indeed. And you know, there are plenty of places to make him here. Again, the turns so tight there between turn 6 and all the way down to turn 11 or through turn 10. It's a constant battle of really trying to keep the car on the track, in the groove, and find speed. And that's really tough. Now, listen, the battle for 15th is still being contested. Suarez still being chased by Sami Valimaki and Daniel Banker. These three can't seem to get away from each other, Jake, and it's a great battle going on right now.
Oh, it certainly is. And you look at Valimaki now trying to make the move on Pablo Lumbrera. Suarez not close enough then Going to have to wait a little bit longer in terms of this one. Up to Skidoo del Lago, and now heading up towards Ferradura here, the horseshoe right-hand corner then. You can see get into the first part then, and here is the Laranja here of the second part as you head in towards this next very difficult corner before you hit the Pinarino then. This fantastic looping slow, 90 kilometers an hour even, left-hand corner before getting back up onto this power again before the slowest point of the circuit here, the Bico de Pato. You get right down in on what is pretty much a 90-degree corner. And these cars really do struggle about putting those massive chunky tyres of power back down into the ground, you could say here, Sean. You can see again, Suarez opens out that corner to try and get the run, but Valimaki a lot closer this time by.
Yeah, and it all started right there in Jules-Sal. Valimaki gets a really nice run out of there. And, you talked about that 90 there in Pico de Pato. Honestly, these cars don't like 90s. I'm going to just be quite frank. If you've not driven this car before, 90-degree turns are not one of the strong points of the Lotus 79. But Valimaki definitely bringing the fight here. He's got to watch out, though. Daniel Banker has been very, very consistent behind Jake. He's one of those guys, he's sitting back there just kind of waiting for something to develop there, and he's going to take both of those positions away if they're not careful.
Yeah, waiting and biding his time here is Daniel Banker as they head into the Skidoo del Lago again, not going to be able to be close enough. And we've been seeing drivers unable to make moves here in this mid part of the circuit. That's something that they need to start attesting to, trying to bring that gap down. I want to point the eyes, though, back to the front of the field. Morera brought that gap last time by down to just 0.7 of a second. And look how close they take it to the retaining wall, the pit wall. And you can see Juhanor Lampi he plays chicken with it almost, and Morera almost fell foul of it, because I'll tell you how much difference there was in terms of that last lap. It was 0.02 of a second in favour of Morera.
Yeah, that's taking it down to a really, really fine point there when we're talking about thousandths of a second, and only 2 of them.
Only 0.02 of a second. That's basically the difference of, say, half a sheet of paper, shall we say, in terms of how you get yourself over the line. There's not much at all that you can put into 0.02 of a second. It just shows you just how quick these two drivers are at the front of the field, because it's 9 seconds back to Antti Lepisto, and that's huge as a gap in the early stages. We just hit halfway when they next crossed the line, and now you are starting to see here everyone is just trying to get into battles. Like Andrea Ventura right now is on the back of Gerd Hoferer. That is a good battle that we're going to see. Ventura trying to recover after an incident on lap 3.
Jake, we haven't talked about this yet, but it's going to happen here in just a moment. With 15 laps left in this race, as they come across the start-finish line now, traffic is going to come into the play for this battle up front. They've got the back of the field just in front of them. They're just now getting through the Senna S, and our leaders are now to the first turn.
Yeah, they are. Well, traffic is going to be a big issue. It's Timothy Dalton and Russell Palmer that's just ahead, as well as James Stinson that they're going to have to try and get by here. So a short circuit means a lot more traffic. We saw that at Mosport here. And you're seeing Francois Gagne getting out of the way of Victor Rodriguez and Michel Vandenberg into the Senna S. It's a nightmare when you're lap traffic, and I can attest to this personally, as there's a mistake from Hoferer, so Ventura might have an opportunity out of the Curva de Sol. We'll look to try and set him up down to the inside. We'll make that one work then, as he will have the inside then for the second part of the Skidoo del Lago as well. You can hold it around the outside, but traffic ahead. Ventura will make that one happen. Here comes the up and under though. Hoferer is not done, but he's got the outside then for the next part of the corner as he gets it all wrong, all over the grass.
He did. Hofer got it way wrong there, and that cost him, cost any opportunity he had to take that position back. Ventura is now clean away from Hofer. Hofer now is going to have to dig, and well, like we saw a moment ago, that didn't work out for him the last time he tried to be too aggressive. So Hofer got to try and get back and find his rhythm again, then set up Ventura for a move. But Ventura with a really, really tricky moment coming out of the Pato. Oof, that was close.
It was
away from him.
It was very, very close. So Andrea Ventura coming into the Bico de Pato. All seemed fine there as he tried to go as wide as he possibly could into the corner. Coming out of the corner, though, had a little bit of a power drift there coming out. And that is not the quickest way to get yourself around the Bico de Pato if ever there was a way to get around the Bico Tapato when all is said and done. Keep an eye on Nuno Moreira, though. He is staying there, and the traffic is being nice. It's playing into the advantage of Nuno Moreira just because he's able to take that draft a little bit more than, say, Juhanora Lampi would, because he can use the stringes of it. He gets a double toe effectively down the straight here, Sean.
Jake, don't look now, but Lepisto might be challenged here soon by Vandenberg. There's a little over 13 laps to go, and I'll tell you what, Vandenberg's closed that gap up to just about 3 seconds. He's not worried about anything behind him anymore, because Rodriguez has dropped off just a bit. But yeah, we might have a battle for the podium here.
We might do, but the issue that Vandenberg has is he was 0.3 of a second slower that last time by than the driver of Lepisto. Lepisto is still running at a very, very strong pace here. As actually we do have a lap car battle here as James Stinson versus Timothy Dalton then goes on here. This is the battle down for positions numbers 23 and 24 here out on circuit, looking to try and get that move is Dalton, but Dalton's not going to get the opportunity then down into turn number 1. That move is not going to happen then as they look to try and hit themselves onto the brakes here, and that's a shame here because the more that they get lapped, the more that battle opens and closes again. Sometimes you have to do the Verstappen to get something done.
I like the Verstappen reference. That's a good one. Yeah, you know what? Dalton and Stinson have been really having a spirited battle, and for most of this race, those two have been hooked up. They let the leaders get by without any incident. They've got a little good battle going on themselves right till the very end. I'm sure both drivers, again, showing a lot of consistency. Not necessarily the speed to compete with the leaders, but consistency enough to have a good little battle between themselves.
Yeah, and of course, there's more to racing than just collating points in this championship. Remember, this is official series racing. iRating and safety rating, they're also at stake in terms of what is going on as well. We're looking here at the battles that are going on, and we've seen an incident.
Yeah, Richard Borchers, and it happened in that spot again, Jake, right there coming out of Interlagos. Really having trouble managing that, and he hit hard. Watch the replay here.
Oh, that's one where Richard Borchers maybe got a little bit unlucky. The car started to get unsettled, so he tries to correct it, but each time he turns, he corrects it a little bit too much each way. That's what causes the tank slap and spin, and that is a small tap into the wall. And for Richard Borchers, that is not what he was wanting to see. Just going to check if he's got any damage. There is a heavily bent rear wing there. That is not going to be helping, especially on the front straight.
Yeah, I think the suspension might have gotten a little bit of that too, Jake. It looks like it might be crabbing a bit, but yeah, that was a tough break for him. I said Interlagos is actually coming out of the Senna S, where we've seen plenty of problems already down at Curva del Sol. A lot of cars getting off there, just getting too much of that curb when they get back to the power.
Yeah, and you can't afford to put too much power down in this vehicle. It can be very unsettling when you get yourself onto the power. You've got to be 100% certain when all is said and done. The battle for 15th position then going on here. Pablo Lumbrera Suarez under threat. Here comes Valimaki trying to have a look, and Valimaki then just sending it late as you like down the inside. Not going to work. Banker runs wide behind then, and it's going to lose the draft then overall, having to be compromised in the second part of the apex. And you can see Valimaki is not done though. We'll look to try and use Suarez's draft then as they head up towards turn number 4 on circuit, and again just not able to be close enough. Traffic ahead though, that's Joaquin Bodica.
I think Valimaki's been trying to pull this off for about 18 laps now, Jake. This has been a great battle, and it continues. Valimaki looks to the inside. Ooh, he tries to get it in there, doesn't quite pull it off. Give it to Suarez off the turn.
Just for the moment, and actually, there's the contact ahead of them as Kamensky and Bodica run into each other there, and well, that's some very good heads-up driving after the incident from Bodica to stay where he was and let the traffic through. Kamensky has been rear-ended there, and that is not what he wanted. Running wide, though, is Suarez, and thank you very much, Valimaki finally makes the move. Now you see trying to go around the outside, Daniel Banker. Oh, what a move that is. Ran the outside of Magulo, not done as he has to compromise the run through Jun Shao, and now through Jun Sao, and now up the hill they go towards the Desquitadas boxes. And you can see still, side by side, Banker almost made the greatest pass of the day so far, back to the inside.
Oh, and through Arquibanzadas, they are side by side across the start-finish line. Too close to call, but give it to... Oh, boy. Who was that got that? Yeah, let's say it was Suarez. Give it to Suarez. He gets the advantage down into turn 1. Heading through the S's. It's Banker right on his tail.
And you can see just how much time they've lost, actually. Valimaki has just completely broken away from them, and that is something to look at. Victor Rodriguez now back onto the rear, though, in the battle for P number 4 with Michel Vandenberg. That gap when they last crossed the line was about a 1/10 of a second. That would have been enough to try and send something side by side, but Rodriguez was unable to do that. The last time they crossed the gap at the front, though, has opened up even more now. It's 1.3 seconds. Moreira doesn't have anything in terms of response to Nora Lampe, who is now starting to turn the screw here, Sean.
I love seeing this replay we're watching right now. That was Banker and Suarez going at it all the way to turn 1. But again, gives Suarez the advantage right now, but ultimately the advantage goes to Sami Valimaki, who, as I said, had been working on getting that position for what seemed to be most, if not all, of the race. Finally gets it Valimaki safely now in 15th. Back up to the front, it's Vandenberg, and, well, has he caught Lepisto yet? Not quite yet, but the gap going to be hard to fill because Lepisto just turned his fastest lap of the race last time by.
Yeah, Michel Vandenberg actually turned one of his slower laps of the race. That was a 1:27.1 that last time by, so he lost himself 1.2 seconds on Antti Lepisto when all was said and done. Not what he was wanting to see then in terms of the racing action, so he'll have to do that work all over again. Look at this battle, though, for the final spot inside, for P number 9 right now, Stian Svensson against Philip Lake here. Lake is under a lot of pressure right now from Svensson, who could just sit and wait here inside the final 10 laps.
Yeah, good battle going on there. Yeah, we just missed a change for position. It was actually Jamie Hall moving into 12th place, getting by Richard Borchers. Jamie Hall up 18 spots, Jake. Up from 30th up to 12th. Trying to crack the top 10. I don't know if it's going to happen. He's got John Stevens up in front of him, about 5 3/4 seconds ahead of him. Going to be tough to pull that off, but Stian Svensson in that battle with Phil Blake, that's the battle for the top 10.
Well, he's got to run about a second a lap quicker from here on in, so he needs to be running 26s. And you can see Sven Stenson then as he crosses the line at 27.2. So yeah, it's got to be low 26s here. And the drivers doing low 26s, they're your race leaders here. Juha Nora-Lampi's opened the gap now. Moreira made a mistake that last time by. That gap now around 2.3 seconds here. Moreira is slipping away, and it seems that he needs to just consolidate a second place. There's no point going for the win, Sean, and risking ruining the car, especially in that championship battle he finds himself right now.
Oh, absolutely. No sense in risking it at all. Take what you've got and have a nice big smile there on the podium.
Yeah, you certainly do. And actually, Michel Vandenberg and Victor Rodriguez might have a friend in a few moments' time, because Andrea Ventura is absolutely flying to get onto the back. The gap was 1.8 the last time they crossed the line, and now both of them need to turn up the wick, shall we say, in their vehicles, because, well, Andrea Ventura trying everything there, but just took too much out of Junsal there, and that was enough to cost him quite a bit of time in terms of getting on the power again.
Yeah, it's gonna make it tough to catch up. Every little mistake just compounds that time difference that you're trying to make up. And for Ventura, I would say time is starting to run out now. 8 laps as he makes his way across start-finish line down into turn 1.
That's turn 1, and you can see that gap opens up now to just 2 seconds. That was a 26.1 that last time by. What a lap times there, turning here. 26.1s and 25.9s. Victor Rodriguez there with the fastest lap of all of them so far. So now it is a turn of pace here. Now it is a case of try and catch if you think you're quick enough here. And we're going to keep our eyes out then on the battles going on. Svensson still applying a lot of pressure, shall we say, on Philip Lake here. He's tucked underneath, about 2.5 tenths behind here, but unable to really make something work right now. On the brakes into the left-hander of the Skidoo de Largo, and again, still just unable to make that happen here. Needs to be a little bit closer, not by much, but just a little bit, and needs conviction here, Sean.
You know, just behind them, Valimaki still trying to pick up spots. In fact, he just flew by Richard Borchers heading down into Delago, and on the power picks up another position. Valimaki up to 14th. Mark Muckey looks to be his next victim just ahead. He's going to try and get 13th spot before this is all said and done with.
And we can see Borchers is struggling with that damage, and that is probably going to be the reason then that we see him just falling down the timing sheets right now. He's got to be careful because Daniel Banker will be the next vehicle then that will be trying to find a way past. But again, Svensson unable to get the power down, unable to get that car close in terms of the battling that needs to be done here. Just needs to find himself maybe 3 or 4 tenths here. Philip Lake is doing a magnificent job of holding up his driver here behind and making sure that he holds on to 9th position overall on circuit here, Sean.
He's sure trying. It's Philip just gotta hang on. Just hang on. Try not to drive out of that mirror too much. You don't really want to look back there a whole lot. Keep the focus in front of you. Svensson is going to make this very tough for him, though. He's really trying to rattle him here, especially braking so deep like that. As a driver, you see that happening in your mirror, and it just really, it depends on how cold you are, man, but that would rattle me.
We have a car stopped on circuit here. It's Nick Kamensky who has stopped on circuit there, and it stopped just before Ferradura here and hasn't got going, doesn't feel confident enough to get going maybe, or maybe there is an issue of sorts here, and that is not a brilliant place to be there because it actually takes away the opportunity to make the overtake down into that corner in the final few laps. If cars get side by side, Kamensky, you have to feel, needs to try and get out of the car or get going again.
I think that's technical. He's having some sort of a technical issue there that's got him stopped on the track with any way to exit from it. That's the only explanation I can think of, Jake, but that car, as you said, not in a good spot at all as our leaders come by.
Well, you could also argue that it is stylistic, shall we say, for the period of the time. Of course, safety standards a little bit lower, shall we say. So, car stricken out on circuit, keep it there. Why not? Absolutely fine there. Fair play. Let's keep on racing. Fantastic battles that we have been seeing up and down the field, likes of which is, say, Michel Vandenberg, Victor Rodriguez, Andrea Ventura. Those gaps opened out to about 1 second, 2 seconds between the pair of them. But that's the issue here. You've got to close down on this circuit. And when you get stuck in these trains, stuck on these side-by-sides, you're struggling to really get that car going straight through you. You need to make sure that you make that move as quickly and as effectively as you possibly can. Where you can still see here the battling that has been going on. The gap, though, at the front of the field, that does come down then over this lap. And what a lap it's been from Nuno Moreira. He's got the message of the hurry up here. Does a 25.4 with 5 laps to go. The gap now down to 1.9, but again, Juhanor Lampi is doing some quick lap times too. That's a 25.7. It's only 0.3 of a second. And that's the problem, Sean. It's only 0.3 of a second. That's not good enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we've lost Sean for a little bit. So, for the foreseeable future, then it's just going to be me, and I hope you don't get bored of hearing my voice for a little bit. So, Nora Lampi holding station at the moment, then with just 5 laps to go inside this event. Nuno Moreira then holding station in second, needing to try and find some magic lap times. He did just set the fastest lap time of this event.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I just don't think he's going to be able to catch him at this point. The effort was good, but it's not enough time left, Jake.
Not enough time at all here. So Nuno Moreira now just trying to close that gap, just trying to make sure that something happens here. And well, that's going to be close here in terms of the battling. But for Moreira, too little, too late. Sometimes it's just about holding station, but every driver wants to take the win, use the maximum amount of damage here. Second's good, but he shouldn't be pushing too hard if he doesn't want himself to go through. In fact, he's lost a second over that lap. Fastest lap. Juhanor Lampi, 125.3. That is beautiful.
Yeah, he picked a good time to lay it down, didn't he? Sorry for the technical difficulties there, folks.
No worries there. And well, you know, what is the racing without a few bumps along the road, shall we say? So Lake now has managed to pull away here from Svensson. There's nothing that Svensson can really do to close that gap down. The gaps have all opened up here, Sean, in terms of the racing here. And you look at someone trying to make something happen in the final few laps. It just seems that nobody has that ability to be close enough. Maybe Daniel Banker here, as he's managed to get past Borchers. Borchers will now have to worry about Suarez then just behind.
Yeah, might have to. You know, I've been keeping an eye on Valimaki for a while. He has caught Mucky. Might be a chance to get one more position for him. You know, the gap now down to just a second, and with a good run down into turn one, Valimaki now makes it even closer with a good trip here in Senna. Boy, I'll tell you what, with 4 laps left to go, I think one more position for Valimaki is realistic.
One more position, maybe he just needs to close down Mark Mucky. Mucky running at a very, very good pace, though. Enough to keep him inside this battle here. Just keep him close. Look actually at the times of Richard Borges. He's running about a second a lap slower than Suarez here, just behind him. Suarez can very easily try and pick him off then in terms of getting up towards, you could say, up towards turn number 1 once again. You can see Suarez touch right in underneath then as they head through it. You can see running very wide through Ferradura was that driver there of Richard Borges. Borges is struggling with the damage that he's got here, Sean.
Yeah, that, well, Jake, I mean, look at the shape of that wing. There's no downforce coming from the rear end of that car at all right now, and he's having to just gingerly make his way through every turn, and you see how he's losing it is in those turns. It's got to be incredible to handle. I couldn't handle it with a straight car. I can't imagine how he's doing that right now.
Well, no downforce, but maybe left force and right force, shall we say, in the fact that the car is squirming around. Here's the run for Pablo Lumbrera. Suarez then tucked right underneath then. We'll need to make the move early here. The defensive line is trying to be taken. Oh, that's close. And in terms of getting out of the way, Suarez taking no prisoners and making that move very, very comfortably then down towards turn number 1 and going very deep back, though, not giving that one up. Borges is fighting back. The wounded animal continues on, holds on to things just for the time being, but Suarez will get another chance coming out of the Curva de Sol.
Boy, wow. I didn't know Borges had that much fight left in him. Almost contact. There, he's defensive. Heading down the straight. Oh, boy, Suarez. He's going to take it away one way or the other here.
Oh, he certainly is. He's now trying for the up and under here, and he's not got enough. So Borges holding on to things right now, just placing the car where he needs to. Doesn't have to do anything else in terms of the racing when they next cross the line. 2 laps to go, and you can see a driver that has just turned the wick down. It's Nuno Moreira here. He's let the gap open to 4.5 seconds. He's given up.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, and that is just settling for where you're at. Get those valuable points and move on. Nuno now just needs to focus on keeping the car clean.
Yeah, he certainly does here, as we're looking still at the 22 of Pablo Lumbrera. Suarez then the battle for P15, P16 even, continuing on, and we'll see if he gets as good of a run this time by. He's just trying to get himself up the hill, then using all the toe to his advantage, and we'll look to try and close him down in the second phase of this straight then. Around the Arquibancadas, and then you can see he gets the run, moves to the right-hand side, and he won't play prisoner again here because he moves instantly to the left-hand side to defend to make sure that there was going to be no move down the inside, and he covers off Borges trying around the outside, and thank you very much. There's a major drift then from the driver Richard Borges, and now Martin Lega thinks he's got a chance though, but it's 1 lap to go here, Sean, for the driver of Juha Noralampi.
1 lap to go, and Juha going to try and make it 2 in a row today. Like I said earlier, he had won the race leading up to this one, and well, you're 1-2, basically the same right now as that race. Boy, the battle back here, Valimaki still trying to get this position, but let's go back to the lead.
Yeah, Valimaki trying desperately to get that position. We'll keep an eye on that then in the final lap of the race, because it seems that there is still a 100% record for the race previous to this race here. It seems that the winner doesn't ever seem to change. And you can see Noralampi now desperate to get down the inside of the lap traffic, not playing ball. Robert Simpkins and Steve Salis, of course, in a battle right now. You can see now having to do it the long way around, letting the traffic go and getting both of them held up. Salis then still holds it against Robert Simpkins in terms of that one. But for Noralampi, that's the one last struggle that he didn't want to be a part of. If Moreira was there on the final lap, maybe he would have had an opportunity to make something happen, but he gave up then on the position. He didn't fight till the end of this race. He preferred to consolidate the points he already had, but rounding the final corners then, it will be Juha Noralampi in the number 6 machine who will drive to the line and take his first victory here in the CTC Formula 1 series. And now you can say Juhanora Lampi means business, ladies and gentlemen, because that's a fantastic win against the driver of Nuno Moreira. Third will go to his Finnish compatriot in Antti Lepisto here, and well, that race was all about who could hold on to it, and well, Moreira tried and tried, but in the end he didn't have enough.
I'm going to stick with this battle, Jake. Valimaki is all over Mucky. One last chance to get it done. Out of turn 9, down to Bico de Pato, the tough right-hander, one more time. Mucky has the advantage, and Valimaki going to have to work so hard here. Got to stay close to him if he hopes to stay in the tow up the hill.
He's got to be
Junsao.
he's got to be hoping for a mistake here out of Junsao, and the moment he's not going to get it, then needs to use the toe to his advantage, but that gap looks a little bit too far back. There's no damage to help either for Valimaki compared to Mark Mucky, and Mucky for 13th position seems that he is just going to be able to hold on to this one then when all is said and done, and that is position sorted here. In terms of the races, Borchers though, his drive means that he loses it to Lega then in the final stages of the race. Wow. What a brilliant race that we've just seen here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But don't go away, because we are going to just step aside for a couple of moments. When we come back, post-race coverage here of the CTC Formula 1 Championship Classic Lotus 79. After these few messages, don't go away. And well, we've seen a beautiful race then around the circuit of Interlagos, which never fails to disappoint. You either use it as two things here in iRacing. You either use it as A season opener, or B, a season finale. Today, it was used as the halfway stage, and it certainly still proved that it can produce some fantastic action overall. A rundown then of the field here on the Global Sim Racing channel. It was Juha Noora-Lampi then who took the victory overall by 2.8 seconds when all was said and done. From the driver of Nuno Moreira, Antti Lepisto would come home in third. Michel Vandenberg then would finish in fourth, where he started exactly. Victor Rodriguez would come home in fifth, ahead of Andrea Ventura, who had one early incident. Jed Hofer there will start in seventh, with Nicola Kochi in eighth. Philip Lake would finish ninth. Rounding out the top 10, though, would be Stian Svensson.
All right, we'll go to 11th. That's John Stevens today. Finishes 11th. Jamie Hall, 12th place finish. Mark Munkey, able to take 13th and keep Sam Valimaki from stealing it away. Sammy in 14th. 15th, going to go to Daniel Banker. Great run from him today. 16th, Pablo Lambera Suarez. Easy for me to say. 16th. Martin Leaguer, 17th. Richard Borchers, 18th. Fought as hard as he could with that bad wing. Steve Sarles going to finish 19th and 20th. Going to go to Robert Simpkins today.
Blackjack position then will go to Matthew Molnar there. Had a very quiet race but gained 6 positions. Hideki Kovitso there doing a very good job in 22nd, with Russell Palmer in P23. James Stinson would start P24, and then cars would get further laps down in the forms of Francois Garnier, Joaquin Bodica, Nick Kamensky running into issues towards the end of the race, and then drivers then who ended up multiple laps down, like Timothy Dalton, Renato Hovrath there, AJ Bear, Kaya Ruokola, QC Flap, Daniel Berenson, and also Antonio Quintana as well, failing to make the start. So 34 cars finished, but only one could finish the race victor today, and that would be the driver of Juha Noora-Lampi. Juha, a brilliant race victory for you today. Got the position very early on, off of the start-finish line, and from there, plain sailing.
Yeah, thanks, Jake, very much. I had a very good start, as you saw, and then I managed to overtake Kalle, and then it was very tight racing with Nuno all the way to the end, and I don't know what happened to Kalle. Was there some collision or what?
I believe there was contact on lap 2 between Kai and Nuno. It meant that Kai Ruokola's race was ended, but for you, you didn't have Kai to fight, so that was one benefit you could say in your cap, that you didn't have to worry about more than one driver, and you were pushed hard in terms of having to do fastest laps here and there. It was only really in the last 5 laps that we saw Nuno give up on the race victory and look for the championship position. So for you, a first win in the series, you've got to be happy.
Well, yes, it's first win for a long time, but I don't know what happened to Nuno when there was 10 laps left. He suddenly lose the pace. Perhaps there was some fuel issues or some setup issues, I don't know. But then I thought that this is my win. And earlier, when Nuno catch me, I don't remember, was it there about 10 laps that we have driven. Nuno was very fast, and then I was a little bit scared that I could lose this race. But luckily it showed much better to me than I was expected, and at this point I want to thank every car of which we lapped. They acted very, very nicely, and we could overlap them smoothly and easy. So very big thanks to them, everyone.
Well, a huge thanks to everyone there from Juha Noora-Lampi. But quickly before you go, next week, hopefully we'll see you around next week, but we are heading over to Sonoma, which is a very difficult circuit when all is said and done. Very tight, very technical, all about the ability for the car to flow between corner to corner. How difficult is the car when you're having to deal with multiple sections when the car could very easily get unsettled?
Well, this car is very tricky to handle when you have that kind of a track, but I don't recall even if I have ever raced there at Sonoma Raceway, but let's see when I go there, and then I just can recall it if I have driven there. But I'm looking forward if I can race again in next week, and this week was very good because I had a good health, and I could practice quite a bit this week, and I was very confident for my race pace, and well, thanks.
I want to make a suggestion to you, Juha, when you get ready for Sonoma. Do about 2 hours in a Monster Energy Cup car first to warm yourself up, and then get in the Lotus 79, and that should get you right on pace.
Oh, okay. Thanks very much. That's a good tip.
Yeah,
I should try.
You don't need any suggestions from me. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, thanks very much, and thank you for the interview.
Honora Lampi then was joining us then from a race victory, and I believe standing by with Sean is the driver who came home in second, and that is Nuno Moreira.
Boy, Nuno, you just keep finding these podiums, and it's a good thing because the championship battle is tight. Congratulations today on a P2 finish. That was 2 P2s for you in a row there.
Hey everyone, hello everyone. Yeah, a nice result in the end. I survived the contact with Kali. I think for me, this race has that as the high moment, and I tried to keep things to the inside. And when Kali didn't yield, I didn't also. So we rolled the dice, and sadly it became not a very good hand for him. I'm a bit sad for that because I know Kali is. Oops, sorry.
Well, Nuno, honestly, buddy, listen, we looked at it several times. We all think it was a 50-50 type deal, and you two were just fighting for the same piece of real estate there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not assuming like I'm not the only one to blame, but it takes two to dance here, and of course both have guilt as in every accident. But other than that, this is like one of the toughest tracks to manage to race with the Lotus, because you really need to manage those tires. It's very important. And Juha was out of this planet today. I tried everything, and in the end, in the last third of the race, I think I overheated my tires because the car started to be a lot of instability, and I just couldn't find the pace to try and catch Juha. But I tried as much as I could.
Yeah, well, you know, we talked about that. In fact, Juha was a little bit concerned. He wasn't quite sure why he had lost pace. He got those tires a little angry and had to back things off a bit. That comes to my question. Sometimes the points are more important than the victory, aren't they?
No, never.
Okay, all right. Well, that's
no, for a race, when you are in a race like this, you want to win. Well, points are good, but top step of the podium is what you aim for.
And that sounds like a man from the Ayrton Senna school of racing there, Nuno. Now, we asked Juha about going to Sonoma. Have you had a chance to turn any laps there yet in this car?
Oh, yes, I did. I had great battles in the past already for fights, for victories and for top places there. It is a very fun circuit, but sadly, I don't think I will be participating in that race, as I will be in a holiday. As in Portugal, it is an extended weekend, and I will enjoy it away from the track. So good luck,
okay,
everyone.
Gonna take some time away from. Okay, so let me, just for the sake of you bringing it up and me being curious, what does one do on holiday there?
Oh, you're in Portugal. You go to the beach and you have some sun and some heat from the clean blue skies. It's that. It's the best thing you can do here.
Very nice, very nice. Well, hey, enjoy your time at the beach, Nuno. We look forward to being back here with you when you get back from holiday. Congratulations again today on your podium finish.
Thank you very much, guys, and also for your great work on the commentaries, as always, and thank you very much.
All right, and that was Nuno Moreira, your second place finisher today, and another great race from him, another great race here in the CTC, and I'll tell you what, my partner Jake, we saw a great one today. This is a fun track. I always love coming to Interlagos, and today was a special one. Great battles going out there on track, but boy, when we get to Sonoma next week, especially since we just found out that Nuno Moreira is not going to be there, boy, there's going to be some opportunity out there for you folks. Don't miss it. But I'm afraid that this is all the time we've got for this evening, so we must offer our thanks to all of you who've been watching the action here this afternoon, and to all the drivers and teams of the Classic Team Championship for their stunning battles and their decision to fly GSRC. Thank you also. They have to go out to the companies, equipment, and software that have been involved or affiliated with this afternoon's broadcast. We'd also like to thank, as always, Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde for their music that you have heard this afternoon. Details on how to contact them are on the screen right now. And speaking about contacts, if you are wishing to have your series broadcast or just want to find out when the next dose of sim racing action or otherwise is live, hop over to globalsimracingchannel.com or check us up on social media with the Twitter handle at GSR Channel. Or catch us on Facebook at the globalsimracingchannel.com. Next week is a trip to the almighty, yes, we're going to California, going to Cali, going back to Cali, going to Sonoma. Looking forward to that. Thanks to my partner Jake, Joe Peak, twisted and tweaking the dials up there in the booth, Dougie Beard bringing us those amazing camera shots. This is Sean Ambrose. We thank you so much. Race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track. Good night, everyone.